Welcome to radioai.ca. The format for today's show is as follows. First, an introduction by our narrator, Harrison. Then we provide representative comments culled from over 2,000 real comments and actual American opinions. Following the comments, meant to represent how Americans feel about the topic, we turn to the respected opinion of Judge Judgerston, our judicial and legal consultant. Enjoy the show.
In today's commentary, Natan Sharansky and Karl Gershman delve into the turbulent landscape of Russian politics, drawing striking parallels between the collapse of the Soviet Union and the potential downfall of Putin's regime. Sharansky commends Alexei Navalny's unwavering commitment to unveiling the corrupt underbelly of Putin's dictatorship, hailing him as a symbol of hope for both Russia and the global community. Gershman echoes this sentiment, highlighting Navalny's remarkable bravery in confronting the regime despite the grave dangers he faces. From the confines of his prison cell, Vladimir Kara-Murza joins the chorus of resilience, echoing Navalny's message that the flame of freedom can never be extinguished. As the narrative unfolds, the grim reality of political repression in Russia comes to light, with hundreds of political prisoners and countless others facing persecution for daring to speak out against the oppressive regime. Yet, amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. Narrator shares that networks, both within and beyond Russia, are rallying in support of political prisoners through various initiatives, including letter-writing campaigns and crowdfunding efforts. Despite the daunting challenges ahead, Navalny and Kara-Murza remain steadfast in their belief in the possibility of a democratic resurgence in Russia. They stress the importance of confronting past injustices and standing in solidarity with prisoners of conscience, underscoring the crucial role of collective action in shaping the future of the nation.
And now, folks, the opinions that really represent America.
Compare the bravery of Navalny with the cowardice of sycophants like Lindsey Graham.
Or draft evaders such as Trump and Biden.
Do you have evidence that Biden evaded the draft?
Regarding the specific query about Joe Biden and the draft, it's important to clarify that Joe Biden received 5 student draft deferments during the Vietnam War, similar to many young men of his generation. Later, after finishing his student deferments, he was examined and received a classification of 1Y, which meant he was exempt from draft due to having asthma as a teenager. This classification was not uncommon at the time and differed from deferments received by others, such as the medical deferment for bone spurs received by Donald Trump. These deferments and exemptions were legal means used by many to avoid conscription into the military during the Vietnam War. The reasons for deferments varied, including educational pursuits, medical conditions, and other exemptions as defined by the Selective Service System at the time.
During the Vietnam era, one of these presidents got a deferment for bone spurs, the other for severe asthma.
You guess.
Which Biden? The one that's dead from exposure from the Iraqi burn pits, or the one falsely accused by Fox News of being a secret agent for Ukraine, or the old man who didn't go because he couldn't?
Like Trump, he got a weird medical exemption, even though he claims he was about to go to the Naval Academy and play with Staubach. He said this at a USNA graduation ceremony a couple years ago. I guess his health got worse once he was exposed to the draft, like Trump.
Let's drop the trivial Bothism and focus on the salient issue. The Trump-uglified Republican Party is the enemy within, the enemy domestic that everyone who takes an oath of political office is sworn to oppose.
The MAGA congressional Republicans and the cowardly, moderate GOP senators and representatives who refuse to oppose them are the agents of Russification. Moderate Republican politicians have abandoned America's democratic ideals, are subverting democratic institutions and norms, have embraced intense gerrymandering and voter suppression, and engage in sheer power politics, a politics devoid of any sense of fairness. They thereby further their goal of establishing a one-party minority authoritarian and kleptocratic state similar to Orban's Hungary.
Such a one-party authoritarian state can further devolve into an even more autocratic, oligarchic, kleptocratic and thuggish mode of governance, one similar to Vladimir Putin's Russia.
The trappings of democracy may remain in place here in America, but Republicans are engaged in killing the democratic spirit. They are united in their opposition to any further progress toward multiracial, one-person, one-vote, authentically representative democracy. Their goal, the establishing a government of, by and for, corporatocratic oligarchs and white populist nationalists, many of whom, like GOP House Speaker Mike Johnson and members of the GOP House Freedom Caucus are also fundamentalist Christian nationalists.
Troll account.
Oh dear, hurtful.
Troll flailing desperately. Pathetic.
So who is your candidate, tough guy?
Putin on a roll. One U.S. House tells Ukraine to fuck off.
2. Trump tells NATO members he is okay with Russia conquering them.
3. Tucker Carlson gets turned into a lapdog by Putin.
4. Key Ukraine city surrendered and
5. Navalny gets fatal indigestion while taking a walk.
Quite a week.
The reality is Russia is headed by a tyrant, but that does not mean we have to spend all our available funds to deter him. The U.S. has to grow up and defensively observe these tyrants without launching rockets, making threats, doubling our military spending, and most of all, interpreting democracy as a right to push others into following our kind of government. Like it or not, the decades of over-the-top support for every skirmish or war in other countries is coming to an end. It is about time we balance our budgets and mind our own business.
Spoken like the politicians who did not support World War II until Pearl Harbor, and later learned the terrible crimes of Hitler.
Who has proposed doubling our military spending?
With apologies to Secretary Albright, what good is that military if you aren't going to use it?
It's not even a question of cowardice. I keep repeating this. Republicans are fully on board with Trump's fascist agenda. They are like Death Eaters. They think they will find favor with the Dark Lord when he takes over.
I would not get too optimistic about the fall of tyrants in this day and age. Democracy, old ideas, starting with the Greeks and Romans, they only lasted about 200 years each. And now we see our own in America possibly dying this year. Some dictators have lasted for 50 years, only to be replaced by yet another one.
As Benjamin Franklin said, a republic if you can keep it. He was a realist.
Every mob boss knows this. Tyrants survive only if they are ruthless against the enemy. There is no power among the dead. They are just dead. Lights off.
I am just waiting for a deus ex machina. The world is such a mess, and most people are either stupid or cowards. Navalny, Nemtsov, all journalists and opposition murdered. Rest in peace. Please ask God to intervene.
Navalny risked death bravely, while Graham shrinks in terror from the possibility of inconvenience.
I hope anyone who supports the idea of Ukraine ceding territory in exchange for a tenuous peace can understand why they would rather die than come back under control of such a system. We need to help them in every possible way.
And anyone who thinks Putin would stick to any settlement is an utter fool.
Better yet, are there any Democratic influential billionaires who would help to free political prisoners? Musk, maybe?
Oop forgot. He's on Putin's side and personally interfered in Ukraine to support of Putin.
Fact is, those uber-wealthy individuals only rub shoulders with the like. In fact, Musk was recently seen at the World Cup with Jared Kushner. Now there's a pair of humanitarians.
Jared Kushner, speaking at a summit in Miami on Tuesday sponsored by media company Axios, was asked if he believed U.S. intelligence reports that Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved the 2018 killing of Khashoggi. His reply,
Are we really still doing this?
And anyone who thinks Hamas would stick to any settlement is an utter fool.
No thanks for the non sequitur.
One thing Hamas and Russia have in common is they are both tyrannies. Neither should be expected to tell the truth or keep a promise.
I will dance a happy dance when I read breaking news of both P's and T's demise.
You and most the world.
Dance? Heck no, we will party hard when the world is free of the orange dictator.
When Nixon resigned, the entire state of Massachusetts spontaneously took the rest of the day off.
It probably calls for dancing on the rooftops of NYC.
Make sure there are sturdy guardrails.
T's and P's.
Thoughts and prayers.
In both cases, the figurehead is a powerful head, but there is always a powerful neck that is in real control. In T's case, that would be his donors,
and the right-wing media who voluntarily lie and obfuscate and financially enable him to maintain their own power. In P's case, there is a secret class of powerful oligarchs who wield enormous influence in the shadows and who have always been there since before Soviet times. So while P and T may come and go, those enabling forces in each nation will remain and will continue to fulminate bad influence.
Tramp the Dirt Down by Elvis Costello. It was about Thatcher, but much of it applies.
Ukraine doesn't have time to wait for Putin's death and the subsequent collapse of Russia. Give Ukraine whatever it needs now.
Hitler's regime of terror collapsed after just 12 years from his first rise to power. However, it cost the world 75 million deaths to stop him, an unfathomably high price for not stopping him before he could unleash his retribution on the planet.
The world now faces two vengeful monsters, Trump and Putin. Together, they and their friends and allies, including the former Republican Party, are just gearing up for the main act.
We still can arm Ukraine and stop Putin now, using just 5% of our defense budget to do so. We still can stop Trump by holding him accountable in court and media and voting to ensure he never sets foot in the White House again.
Will the anti-insurrectionists and patriots have the fortitude and savvy to do so? If not, much darker days inevitably lie ahead.
This is Judgy Judgerston. I have listened to all the comments and I want to summarize them for your edification. The comments reflect strong opinions and criticisms concerning various political figures and issues. There are allegations of cowardice against political figures such as Lindsey Graham, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden, with comparisons to Alexei Navalny's bravery. The comments also discuss the legal but controversial avoidance of the Vietnam draft by Biden due to asthma and Trump due to bone spurs. The discourse criticizes the Republican Party, accusing it of abandoning democratic ideals and supporting a shift towards authoritarianism, akin to Viktor Orban's Hungary or Vladimir Putin's Russia. The comments suggest that the party is threatening democracy by opposing progress towards a more representative multiracial democracy, and by engaging in gerrymandering and voter suppression. There is a sense of disillusionment with the current state of global politics, with calls for the U.S. to stop over-involvement in foreign wars and to focus on domestic issues instead. The comments express fears about the rise of authoritarianism and the durability of democracy, citing historical examples and the fragility of republics. Several comments address the situation in Ukraine, expressing the need for support and skepticism towards any peace settlement with Russia. There is criticism of wealthy individuals who are perceived to be aligning with authoritarian leaders, and there's a call for them to help free political prisoners instead. The comments express anticipation for the downfall of what they describe as tyrannical leaders, with some looking forward to celebration in the event of such occurrences. There is a hope for intervention, either divine or through the actions of anti-insurrectionists and patriots, to uphold democracy and counteract the influence of what the comments describe as vengeful monsters leading to darker days ahead. It's Sunday morning. Now I'm going to get my household chores done. Then I will sit down in my favorite lazy boy chair and light up an El Presidente. A lot of the fellas at the yacht club have been encouraging me to run for Congress. I am thinking about it. If I do, I would run for my home district in Florida, in Indian River. I live in Vero Beach. I might run as an independent. I will think about it this afternoon and let you know tomorrow. If you think I should run, send me an email at just63943@gmail.com. That's just63943@gmail.com. Stay tuned to radioai.ca for all your legal and political news.